You're watching Spotlight on MX24 television. On this show, as the name suggests, we put a spotlight on issues and people that matter the most to you, from current affairs to politics and business. Just trust that we will give you our very best on this show. I am privileged and honored to be standing on the shoulders of past hosts whose contributions have brought the show to this level. But my name is Adwoa Tenkoramaa, and I will be your host for the next hour. Today's topic is investment. I can't wait to get in with my guests, but please grab a seat, stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. Adwoa, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is Spotlight on MX24 television. Today's topic is investment. When is the right time to start? It is coming from a place of wanting to help improve the financial literacy for not just our viewers, but the entire country at large. There is an article published in March 2022 with the topic, The Role of Financial Literacy in Households' Asset Accumulation Process, Evidence from Ghana. And in that report, it reveals that the financial literacy rate in Ghana is 32%, which is considered quite low because the highest rates in other countries such as Denmark, UK, and Canada ranges between 63% and 71%. Recently, the Finance Ministry of Ghana launched the National Financial Literacy Campaign, which in fact recognizes that there is still a sizable gap in the country's financial literacy rates that needs to be addressed. And so in our contribution to help address this challenge, we saw the need to talk about investment. And joining me for this discussion today is Mimi Anane-Appiah. She's a financial advisor with the Access Pensions Trust Limited. We also have Kelly Addai, who is a young investor. He works with IC Asset Managers. And of course, for a balanced conversation, we have Dr. Anane-Antwi. He's a retired individual, but still quite active on the investment scene. Lately, you may have heard about him when the DDEP, Domestic Debt Exchange Program, started. So we will get a bit of a balanced conversation here. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you so much for your time here on Spotlight.
Thank you.
So I will begin with you, Kelly.
Right.
I would want to find out exactly what time did you start investing, or what time did you see the need to start investing?
So I started investing just when I was about entering the university, because there wasn't so much from home. So whatever I got, I decided that, okay, by the time I complete university, I would need to have some money available for myself. You know, we've heard stories of how people go for national service and your pay will delay, especially if you go to the public sector. Your pay will delay for about 3 to 6 months, but it will come cumulatively. So the plan was to get something down for myself after school so that if anything, you know, there are job issues too. If anything, I could rely on it until get a job or something like that.
Right. So what amount did you start with for your first investment?
Oh, it was 100 cedis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
100 cedis.
So you can actually start with as low as 100 cedis.
Yes. And even currently, there are a myriad of products with as little as 1 cedi. You can start investing.
You're kidding me right now.
No. There are so many financial products on the market right now that with as little as 1 cedi, you can start investment.
So it means you don't need so much to begin investment.
No.
Let me come to you, Mimi. You are a financial advisor, but beyond that, personally, are you an investor, and how did the journey start for you?
Okay. Yes, I am an investor. The journey started for me when I was in JSS, and people used to give me money. My dad had his own business, so sometimes the clients would, be nice and give you some money. So I remember us going to Republic. It was called I forgot HFC then.
Okay.
Republic then, to open a unit trust account, and that's where I started investing. And And then later on, when I was doing my national service, thankfully my mom was nice enough to be giving me an allowance. So I was putting my national service allowance away. So by the time I was done, I had something nice, in there. So that's how my journey started. Of course, I got to work in a financial institution, so that made it even better.
Let me go to Dr. Anane on Zoom so that we can also get his opening remarks and then we continue the conversation. Doc, I believe that you have also been investing for quite a while now. For you, what is the key things you wish you knew before you started investing?
Well, I think when I started investing, I didn't know much about investment. I was saving, and I started saving a long time ago. Before 1974, I had some savings whilst I was doing some menial jobs at the village. My hope was to travel to Accra. And so I think by 1974, I had saved about 70 cedis then 70 cedis. And I gave it to my elder brother who was in Accra.
Right.
That I would one day go to Accra. And when I was coming to Accra, 75, I brought some other monies that I'll be able to save while I was working at the village to search for a job. So after I've gotten a job, I spent about 3 months. I came to Accra in July 1975, and I got a job as a laborer in the factory September same year, 75. And so as I started earning income, I put it together with what I have brought from the village and put it in a commercial bank account. My cousin was working at a commercial bank, so I made a deposit savings at commercial bank. It was there that I was included because he was working at a bank. I heard something about a treasury bill. So when I got money which was sufficient to start treasury bill investment, that was around 76, 77, thereabout.
Wow.
And I started money with treasury bills from that time.
So it looks like we have an ancestor here when it comes to investment. So, Doc, you have quite a journey since you started investing. Are there any regrets so far?
No regrets whatsoever. What I did was that since I started my working years, I'd always been doing some part-time jobs. Earlier, I used part of my savings to buy a sewing machine because when I was at the village, I was observing my senior brother sewing. So I thought I could do some sewing, especially just sewing some cushion for covers at where I was staying at Abosoka, and someone was selling cushions. So I was able to sew the covers. So I was getting money from these jobs for my own upkeep. So every month, what I get, I was able to put it into investment or savings, especially when I was doing the trade. At that time, the 1 month treasury bill. And so every month I could add on. When my bill has matured, I could add on something and buy a new amount. And that has been, and is from there, every time I've been saving and investing as soon as I get some small money.
Wow.
That is sufficient for my upkeep. I take the rest to investment.
Doc, thank you so much for those initial thoughts. I'll come back to you because there's a matter that you're still hassling with government over, which is a domestic debt exchange program and the payment of your coupons and whatsoever. But let me go to Mimi on the issue that Doc has raised so far in his conversation. I picked keeping a side hustle. I picked starting early, and Doc was using saving and investment interchangeably. first of all, let me start from that. Is there a difference? If there is, what is it?
Okay, so savings is basically setting money aside. It could be under your bed, hopefully not, or in a savings account. But investment is done with the purposes of growing your money, either for income or capital appreciation. So when I say capital appreciation, I mean you buy something, you're expecting it to increase in value, so that when you sell it off, the difference between what you bought it at and what you're selling it for, that becomes some value for you. So that is investment. And so normally you save to invest, because you should have put some money aside to be able to invest. Now, investment is very important, but sometimes you also need some savings. I'm sure you've heard of emergency funds and all that. So you want to put aside money that you can easily use for emergencies, maybe your car gets spoiled. Because sometimes, depending on the investment you do, there may be certain conditions that would affect you negatively if you take out of it before it matures. So it would be good to have the savings so that you can fall back on that, so that you are not penalized for,
Okay,
investing.
so talking about getting penalized, could you tell us what type of investments exist and what options can a young person or somebody who is starting their journey go for?
Okay, so there are a lot of options that exist. We have the money market basically being short-term, and we've spoken about treasury bills already. We have fixed deposits. So if you go to a financial institution, whether it be a bank, non-banking financial institutions, you should be able to get a fixed deposit. We also have shares, or what we know as equity. And we could have private equity, which is not normally open to, because that one is private, it's not on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And now normally it targets institutions and rich or high net worth people. And then we have equity in terms of buying shares, on the Ghana Stock Exchange or other stock exchanges if you have the opportunity to. We also had bonds. I mean, it's still there. We have corporate bonds, government bonds. I guess.
I don't think government bonds at this point is quite attractive.
Exactly. So right now, that is not really an option. We have corporate bonds. Some of these a few of these corporate institutions have, these. So it's important to sit with your financial advisor, know your objective, your risk tolerance. There are things to consider before you settle on the right, investment. Sometimes people maybe...
Not to catch you, but do they charge the financial advisors? So if I want to start an investment, I just walk into a bank and say...
So normally fund management companies, if you come to Access, we are a corporate trustee, you would find somebody to talk to. I'm a financial advisor in Access. I wouldn't charge you for coming to ask me that question. I'm sure there are those who may charge.
But once you start planning for the person, you start charging them.
Okay, well, it depends on the kind of planning that is being done. If it's normally with high net worth clients, they would probably go deeper, into the planning. And probably with that, depending on the company, they may charge or use it as an additional service for whatever they are selling to the client. But if you should go to your regular fund management company and ask to speak to a financial, hopefully a good one, you should get some basic advice to help you start your journey.
Kelly, you were talking to me about when you started your journey. I watched a video of Warren Buffett, the sixth richest man in the world. He was talking about the fact that he started investing as early as 11 years. At what age do you think is right for somebody to say, I'm old enough to start investing?
So even before we are born, these days people are investing. So there's a concept where your parents set up a trust fund for you. So even before once they know that, I'm having this child, then it means that maybe so minus 1 years, you can start investing if your parents do. And then you personally, if you want to start investing, I guess it's a function of when you become financially literate, what you are taught, how you are exposed to some of these things, then it will alert you to hey, you are like, hey, I have to start now. Yeah. So the earliest age possible.
Okay.
And the best time was like 20 years ago. And the next best time is now. So
you started like 10 years ago?
yes.
Or 13? No, you said it started in 2010. So that's about 12, 13 years
ago.
What are some of the benefits you've seen over the period that you started?
Right. So the benefits is in the money. The returns you make, right? The returns you make. But I want to touch on some other non-traditional investments that we may think of. The first thing we can do to you can invest in is yourself, right? So what am I talking about? You have to invest in yourself so that you can increase your capacity to earn.
How does investing myself help me increase my capacity?
So, for example, some of us started from, let's say, JHS. We did our BECs. Some couldn't continue. Some of us had opportunity to continue education. So those who fell off after BEC got some jobs they could be doing then. So they had the cash flows, right? So they were like, okay, I've arrived. Then those of us who continued on to SHS or SS, we also got there. And after SS, some said, no, let me go and work so that I can get money now. But some of us continue to move to the next step, right? So if right now you take, at every point in time, if you look at the income of all these people, you realize that within a short time, let's say if the timeline is 2020 and JHS was 2006 and SHS was, let's say, 2009, by 2020, if you had gone ahead to get your first degree, you'd have had the capacity to earn more than the person who dropped off. Yes.
Right.
So the best investment you can do for yourself is in yourself, to increase your capacity to earn.
So before I go to Doug, let me just ask you this. Let's say I earn a salary of 1,000 Ghana cedis. How much realistically do you think I can set aside for investments?
Realistically, I think Mimi mentioned it early on. You have to have a budget. It's one of the most powerful tools that we don't really do. We are like, oh, budget.
But did it always work? Because sometimes you set the budget and then
it does.
Yeah, you realize that something will just come and hit from the side and you just,
yes, there are those once in a while. But if you are having that consistently, it probably means you are not doing it right.
You're not budgeting right.
You get it. For example, maybe you have a family member that you know every month will call you to ask. You have to put the person in a budget and probably tell the person, I can only give you 200 Ghana cedis. That's what I can afford. So you put that in your budget and you have that understanding. But it happens when what you've put on paper and what is actually happening, two different things. That's when it doesn't work for you.
So once you budget, you know that let's say I need 500 for living expenses. The remaining 500, okay, I want to. So there's a rule of thumb that I learned very early, that you invest what is left. You invest what is left, or you spend what is left after investing.
Okay.
You don't invest what is left after you are spending, because expenditure,
it's limitless.
It's limitless.
You always have something to spend on.
You always have something to spend on. So you have to decide that, okay, I want to set aside this amount.
Right.
So let's say from my 1,000 Ghana cedis, I'll invest 100 cedis. Now I'm left with 900 cedis. If you, from your budgeting, you realize that your living expenses are around, let's say, 500, then you have an extra 400 that you can do. So maybe you can be generous with your money, or you can actually enjoy
the money.
the money.
So with that 100 cities you have set aside, what type of investment can you go for?
Yes, so the easiest one I would say is to invest in a collective investment scheme. I chose that vehicle because my capital wasn't so huge, and you can always add up to it. So if you take any other asset class, let's say a treasury bill, if you buy the treasury bill today, you'd have to wait till maturity for you to maybe roll over or add something to it and then invest again. So you could use the collective investment schemes, what we call the mutual funds, unit trust, and there are a lot of these ones available. And if every month 100 cedis, you have 100 cedis and you put into this fund, these funds, it will grow. At a point in time, you realize that your capital has appreciated. So now you could probably take part of it and do another type of investment, which requires a little more capital.
Let me go to Doc, who is on Zoom with us. Doc, if you are there, if you're given the opportunity to advise young people on investment, give me 5 top advice that you have for us.
Well, it's not that if I'm given opportunity, that's the job I'm doing.
Right.
Director General Securities Regulation Commission, preaching investment all over the place. I form school clubs, investment clubs in some schools, going to the schools to educate them, join with youngsters investment club to do all sorts of things. The thing is that I always tell people to stop the unnecessary expenses that they have been making. The youth these days, you see people holding a phone, which in itself is a full investment product. People are buying phones beyond their means instead of putting that money into investment and buying some cheap phones that they can use. This is one of the major expenses that the youth have placed on themselves. The pictures of these high-tech machines, even TVs. People go, one day I was in a shop, and these young guys are going around TV, and they are looking at TV, which has the internet capability and that kind of thing. Very expensive, and yes, they will go for it. Save your money. Stop buying those things that are not necessary for your livelihood. Those that you can live without them. There are simple machines that you can use. You get the same satisfaction. Some machines you buy that you don't even use 5% of the capability of that machine, but yes, you have paid so much. So cut down on these things. Use your money to invest. Invest in safe products. They were talking about collective investment schemes. That is fine. When I was young, starting, there was no collective investment scheme. In fact, I was the head of that department that introduced collective investment schemes at the SEC. I was in charge of that product. I got an opportunity to train myself in the UK how to run this collective investment scheme, and came back and we designed our collective investment scheme, the mutual fund and the unit trust. We did the regulations to make sure that we introduce collective investment schemes in the country. And that's a huge thing for people. As one of your panelists was saying, these investment schemes, they can allow you to be putting 1 cedi. Your 1 cedi will not go into the investment right away. They will allow you to be putting 1 cedi if you have to get 5 cedis before you buy into the collective investment scheme. They will allow you to be putting 1 cedi, 1 cedi, 1 cedi. When it gets to 5 cedis, they put it into the unit trust or the mutual fund.
Right.
So these are the things that the young ones must do. Cut down on that unnecessary, I can understand that your time is high tech and you want. These days, nobody want to buy a second-hand car. Everybody want to buy, they say, tear rubber.
Doc, and the funny thing is, they say you only live once now. They say it is YOLO season, so you only live once. So once you have the money, you can,
You see, when we are all living, we pray God to give us long life.
Yeah.
If you know you are praying to God to give you long life, then you, the prayer sayer, you must prepare for long life. You must budget.
Yeah.
You must plan for your long life. Today is not the end of the day. So if you think that you live for once and today is the once, no, I believe when you are praying, I pray for long life, then you must plan for that long life. And that is where your investment is key. You don't spend your money on things that will not give you any long life lasting satisfaction, just temporary satisfaction.
Right. So I think what Doc was saying buttresses your point you were making earlier about peer pressure. We'll go into that right after this break. Please stay. You're still watching Spotlight on MX24 television. Today our topic is investment. If you're just joining, don't worry, we still have some tidbits for you. Right before the break, we were talking about peer pressure and how they influence your spending habits as a young person. Mimi, could you tell us how young people can deal with this pressure and still be able to have a balance between having fun and preparing or planning for their future?
So peer pressure is interestingly not just limited to young people. Everybody is prone to it, because once you have people who believe in something different and they are quite a lot from what you believe in, there's pressure to be like them. Mm-hmm. We all want to belong. For young people, it's very important in your personal finance journey to sit down and have a discussion with yourself. What kind of life do I want for myself? Sit down and set what I call financial goals. So financial goals are anything that require money to be able to achieve, acquire, whatever. So sit down and decide that this is what I want to do and commit to it. Once you commit to it and you know this is what I want to do, it's easier for you to sacrifice certain things so that you see that happen. And when you see your goals being achieved, celebrate it. You get it? So a lot of the time, the reason why... How do you
celebrate it without getting relaxed?
Oh, you can. You spoke about having fun. You can decide now, once I achieve this goal, this is my reward to myself. It's all part of the planning.
Okay.
Yes. And even with the having fun, you can... We are not saying that, be responsible with your finances means stay at home the whole time. You can have an expense item in your budget for enjoyment. Yeah.
So is Dirty December part of the expense item?
There are people who plan for Dirty December. Yeah. Right. Every month I put down maybe 200 or 300 cedis for Dirty December. When you see me enjoying during the you may be spending your January salary, but I'm spending my Dirty December, money. Right. So it's just about planning. Yes. You need to sit down and decide, where do I want to go? A lot of the time we don't do that. So we just go with the flow. We see that people are having expensive weddings. I want to trend. Is it really important? That, like, what do you get from trending? Yeah. What are you sacrificing to trend? Yeah. These are the questions you need to ask. Once you sit down and decide that this is what I want, this is what I'm willing to sacrifice, I feel peer pressure. I'm not saying you wouldn't feel pressured, but it becomes easier to deal with.
That's a very, very important point you have made there. But we have been speaking to some young people on this particular subject. And earlier you were mentioning people putting money under their pillows and all of that. Let's listen to what they had to say about investment.
Young start investment here because in our system, investment is good. We are all struggling to get something to put something behind for our future. But for now, say you struggle, you before answer. You better make the BBSC for we. So what if you how can you invest? You cannot invest. Yeah. Until when you then you are planning your future. Oh, and then me 1,000 and I'm 2 cities. 2 cities mean 50%. Me for 1 city, 50% into baby. Many 1 city, me for 1 city into baby. It's all part of investment. Couple of 3 or 4 companies are investments are. Or more mobile into marketers no more and introduce you into investment. Kind of credential and more booklet at the Uber realize Uber read it through no so me who yanka de we man ye me who yanka me ye say and also the humbi ashememu and to say me next time any opportunity say me investment I'll think twice.
I know they are no cry because at first they now we say well we yanka crowd but you say no what is ka to work almost sign attitude. See you say we dey buy and you more now we fear because now this ka to bank crana. The oversight here through account Mukrano. I say, a sort in you see, no fee. I am a person to be a project, be this start your business.
Myself, I put myself on men's good time ago at Koforidua. But I can't find my money again. I'll do my savings, that's all. Misika World Bank cram pese there Madam Nika say investment in but for me need misuro.
Oh, then the investment here I started from 25 years. Me starting my business here and I start investment but very good. But susu for a be any genuine because my to be there the cars there 3. I'm a secret. Me who the office the girl when we locate here started to your common beer you home and to say obi be the sika betu of our bank no investment or bank and no understand how to say susu for your money up and down ye be sika the mama yes I think be a
So you heard it for yourselves. For the benefits of those who do not really understand the language that was spoken, the first gentleman was talking about being unemployed and why that stops him from investing and the fear of failing. So perhaps he invested in something earlier, it didn't really work for him, so he thought he shouldn't invest again. The other one was also talking about fear of investment, the same fear of investment. He said he invested in men's gold and then it didn't work for him. So in all, I think it was just the last woman who said she's investing in the bank. Let me go to, I'll come to you, Amy, and then Kelly, but let me go to Doc. Doc, when we talk about regrets, I don't know if the current happening with regards to the domestic debt exchange program has given you any regret whatsoever when it comes to investing in government bonds. And is that something you would advise young people to go into?
No, I would say regrets, because if you are planning for your life, your future, you have to invest. It is only unfortunate that the institutions that are taking our money, if we start from the private institutions where some investment managers at the SEC level did not do the things well, or the right environment was not created for them to be able to do it the way we want them to do, and people have suffered. If you take what is happening to the people who have investment with the gold security now, Black Shield. These are the things that makes people think that, look, I shouldn't have done it. But what else would you have done? That is the only thing that you have to do. And then if we come to government side, where we all know that government is less risky, so place your money to government. And that's also people are having that problem. But I believe these are going to be temporary issues. It will be resolved if the issuers, especially government, and that's what these days I have been complaining about, that the public confidence in the market is key. That's the only asset the financial market has. That the public confidence, that makes you leave your money with a financial institution and go and sleep without thinking of it, because you know when you need your money, you get it. That has been damaged. And it's for all of us, especially issuers.
Has it been damaged beyond repairs?
It's not beyond repairs. We can repair it. And this is the thing that now I'm seriously working on, making sure, preaching that, look, government especially must lead. You've done this DDEP. People have gotten hurt by whatever has gone through. And you must be working to restore public confidence by ensuring that you are meeting your obligations. You are servicing your debt, you are paying your coupons, you are paying your maturity bonds that matures, Any bond that matures, you pay. This will let us know that, well, we went down small, but we are now back and doing things well. Then you come to the other side of the financial market, the financial services, finance houses, and savings and loans. I have another forum that I'm working with to ensure that lock-up funds are released to these investors. You can't imagine when an investor has his fund in a financial institution like NDK, and then for 4 years, that person cannot access his funds or her funds. And we don't seem to get any regulator coming to the aid of these people. That disturbs and destroys public confidence in the market. And that is why I'm saying that government and regulators especially should act well and ensure that people are protected. Problem will come, but let's have solutions to the problems. If a problem comes and you solve, they say if you fall down and you wake up, you are continuing with your journey.
Right.
But if you fall down and you don't want to wake up, then your journey is ended. We will have problems, but let government and regulatory bodies have solutions to this. People's monies are locked up. And you tell people, yesterday I met somebody who asked me, Doc, how is it going? I said, well, we are on. Government has started paying. They say, I have money in the house, but even the tree bill, I won't go and buy because I'm not sure. How can we go to such a level, or to such a level where people have money and they fear to even invest in government securities? So it is a time for government and regulators to work hard to restore public confidence. And that's why I've been preaching that you can't talk about financial stability when people's money are locked up in the same financial market. What is financial stability? Any talk about financial stability which is not linked with getting people's money are locked up in the financial market returned to them is meaningless. We won't get anything. So it is the ability to come back which we must ensure that we have. And regulators and government should take the lead and ensure that we will do the things to build back public confidence in the market. Let us get people's money back to them. If it's locked up, we shouldn't expect people to be going and picketing into SEC, left and right, give us our money. That shouldn't happen. A way should be found out, to address these issues.
Dr. Adwoa Anane-Antwi, thank you.
Government should talk to find a way of solving these problems.
Thank you so much. You've been a valuable contribution to this show. Dr. Adwoa Anane-Antwi is a convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, and he joined the show as a retiree who was sharing his experience with us on the subject of investment. Let me come back to the studio. Mimi, what do you make of the video we watched?
It's quite an interesting one. With the first one, he mentioned not having a job. I think that's where what Kelly said comes in. Investing in yourself is very crucial. You can only invest what you earn. And if you are not earning, it becomes very difficult to invest. So it's very important, especially nowadays that income is not enough for anyone. We need to start looking at ourselves. What skills, what capacity can we build to be able to acquire more income so that we can be able to invest. And once you generate that income, it's important that that habit is there. Because a lot of the time we tell ourselves, if I was earning 10,000, if I was earning 20,000, and then that door opens and you realize that
it was still not enough.
Yes, so that habit is very important. Now with the fear, what Doc has said is very important. Government needs to provide an enabling environment, because without that, it becomes a bit difficult. But I think that there's also a need for investors, Ghanaian investors, to start understanding risk and return. Of course, treasury bills and government bonds were supposed to be risk-free, you know, or low risk. And so we weren't expecting this to happen. But generally, I think that as a people, we don't take risks too well. All we want to hear is return, and we don't want to hear the other side. Sometimes I feel that's the reason why advisors may also not, you know, which is not right, by the way, but may also not speak about the other side, you know. So it's very important, just like you start a business, you had money, you started an Uber business, that is an investment. You did it with the hope that that car will bring you money. There's a risk that the driver you've hired for that would mess up your business. I think that sometimes people find it easier to accept that than taking money to a financial institution. But the financial institution is also taking them back, you know, to the market and going to work with it. Now, there's a risk that they may or may not be able to meet your expectations. And you need to know what the risks are so that you decide whether it's something you want to take on or not.
So they should clearly spell out the risk.
Yes, and be open to listen. I think sometimes it's difficult because once you start talking about the other side, then I won't do it again. You know, so you tend to find out that people may cover, you know, the what ifs, and then just sell the nice side to you. You know, so be open, ask questions. If they are not even talking about the what ifs, ask questions and just put it at the back of your mind that just as you start a business and it may or may not go well, it's the same with the financial assets. So be open-minded, because a lot of what I heard during, like after this DDP, because it affects not even the DDP, you know, when the bond prices started going up, and that affected the mutual funds because they had existing bonds and now the value is depreciating, you know. People wanted to, you know, take out their money and they're like, I didn't ask you to buy bonds. No, you are an investor. You need to know what your money is being used for. And you need to be comfortable. If they say we are buying bonds with it and you are not comfortable, don't invest. Look for what you are comfortable with and invest. But understand that in life, everything comes with a level of risk. Even walking out of this door, something can, even as it is, yes. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't walk out of your house. You still go and do it. You know business can be risky, but you still do it anyway. So I do agree that, you know, government must do better. Regulators must do better to make sure that those investors are rewarded, you know, for putting money aside because they could have spent that money. But as individuals, let's also have an open mind and understand what investment really is. Not a place where you just hide money and then, I don't know, someone come and pour fertilizer. It's put back in the market to work. And there's a tendency that it may work out or it may not work out. So find out what risks are involved before you sign up for an investment.
So let me bring the risk to the level that we the young ones
who
would
understand.
not that we want, we
Before
already
you even
understand
do that,
it.
let me add another one to it. How do I, as a young person, tolerate the risks that are associated with my investment without drawing back or pulling out of the investment?
Yeah, so just this Saturday when the Champions League finals were played,
Right.
I was watching it with this guy. He was like, Anane-Appiah City to win.
It's 4. Right.
Because I say Mako over 1.5. So the young ones really understand the risk. Are you willing to tolerate or accept the risk? On the other side too, there's this get it quick mentality that we have that we need to address, because it is just a match. At the end of the 90 minutes, either I get it or I don't get it. So me, I want it quick, right? So the rate is very high, and the probability that you will not get it is also high.
But will you call that an investment?
No. It's not an investment.
Okay,
But so that's something we the young ones can understand. So in managing your risk, like I said, the first point to start with is financial literacy. Because I knew what investment and some of the asset classes and all that was, I could understand and appreciate that, okay, this particular fund, mutual fund that I'm entering into, these are the underlying assets, right? So, okay, they have a portfolio and they do asset allocation and all that. So I understand it. So I am comfortable taking up the risk. What you don't know, you are afraid of. So if I don't have that financial literacy, accepting risk, for example, the first guy mentioned men's gold, right? If he knew what the operations of men's gold was, he wouldn't have probably gotten into it, because it's very high risk. You understand? So, like you mentioned, Warren Buffett says, don't invest in anything you don't understand. Once you so it starts with getting an understanding or a knowledge. So we need to work on our financial literacy to get it above 50% at least. And then once we understand some of these things, some of these fear, some of these aggression when you lose money, I mean, you win some, you lose some. Once you have that literacy, I mean, the market will begin to grow and you can manage your investment very well.
So we'll wrap up soon. But Mimi, let me go back to my 1,000 Ghana cedis example. So let's say I'm a family man. I earn 1,000 cedis. I don't have any side job. Throughout the month, I give 200 cedis to my wife as chop money. I use 600 cedis for my upkeep and in and out to work. If I decide to invest the remaining 200 cedis and I have a family emergency, my child is sick, I have to buy some books, I have to pay for PTA, some of these particular, how do I cope with that salary I earn and still be able to manage my home?
Okay. So it's very important as a family you sit down.
I have 2 minutes for this.
You sit down and set some goals. Okay. So you know school fees is not a surprise. Buying books is not a surprise. You know it's coming. So you plan for it. Then with the emergencies, it's important, as I said, to have an emergency fund or savings that you set aside to deal with emergencies. And normally they'll say 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses. It depends on you. You can do more than that, especially if you are more prone to emergencies. Now, with 1,000 Ghana cedis, I think that what I have realized is we all have to start thinking about how do I make extra income. We can't get comfortable with what we have. We need to start thinking, how do I make extra income? It's very important, because the more income you have, if you're able to maintain your level of spending, the more you can save, the more you can invest, the more you can grow wealth. And maybe sometime you can decide that you are tired of the job, so I'm going on retirement or I'm pursuing something else. So as for the income side, it's very important. If you like sewing, like Doc said, go and learn how to sew on Saturdays and start and add it to whatever it is you are earning.
Kelly, last words. Another example. So I am a young lady. You mentioned investing in yourself. I need to go for an interview. I have 500 cedis on me. I need to look good, but at the same time, I have to think about the month, how much I can manage within the month. The dress I'm going to buy is 100 cedis. The hair I want to do is 100 cedis. If I buy these things and I go for the interview, there's the likelihood that I might get a job because my appearance matters. But if I don't buy also and I just go for the interview, I may appear. How do I manage the situation?
Oh, practically.
2 minutes.
Practically, you could probably do the hair and borrow the dress.
Borrow dress in this Accra.
If you don't have a friend that you can borrow something, a dress from, then you should rethink your life. Because people can borrow cars from their friends. So you need to look sharp for the interview. So practically, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe because I'm not a female or a lady.
It's not always that you spend when you need to invest in yourself. Is that the point I'm getting?
Come again.
It's not always that you have to spend so much if you need to invest in yourself.
Basically, yeah. So like she mentioned, the planning comes, you can't put the horse before the cart. Sorry, the cart before the horse. You understand? So you would have planned all of this. You understand? So once you have that plan, you know you have applied for some jobs. There's a likelihood that they'll call you for interviews. So you would have planned for it.
Very well.
Understand?
Thank you so much. I wish we had more time, but unfortunately, this is where we draw the curtains on today's show. I want to thank you so much for staying with us for this hour. I want to thank my guest, Mimi Anane-Appiah. She is a financial advisor at Access Pensions Trust Limited. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kelly Addai, for also coming. He works with IC Asset Managers. We also had Dr. Anane-Antwi, who is a pensioner, bondholders from Convener. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Adwoa Tenkoramaa Domina. I'll meet you same time next time. Bye-bye.